Heyo, welcome into CHGO Big Ten After Dark. We are the CHGO Bets crew. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. My partner in degeneracy is Cody Delmendo. You can follow him at Cody_CHGO. The man in the middle is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
He's our Big Ten football expert. You can follow him at ActionWorld23. And you can follow the show at CHGO_Bets. We're going to be talking about this week. I guess it's week 3, but it's week 4. I know there's a week 0, but some people count that as week 1. It's all confusing. There's been 4 weeks of football, and we're talking about the one that's going to be taking place on Friday and Saturday, at least for the Big Ten. Let's run through the games that we have for you. We will start off then with an Ohio State Notre Dame preview. Then we'll get into an Illinois Florida Atlantic preview, and then we'll give you our best bets. On Friday, Wisconsin will be going to West Lafayette to take on Purdue. That one's at 6 p.m. On Saturday, starting at 11 a.m. at the Big House, Michigan. Number 2 Michigan will be welcoming in Rutgers at 2:30. We got 3 games. Florida Atlantic at Illinois in Champaign, Maryland at Michigan State, and Louisiana Tech at Nebraska. And then 4 games at 6:30. Number 6, Ohio State traveling to number 9, Notre Dame. Number 24, Iowa at number 7, Penn State and Happy Valley. Then Akron at Indiana at 6:30. And then Minnesota at Northwestern. Can't bet on Illinois and Northwestern, but we got a lot of bets for you later on the show. If you are watching, hit the thumbs up and leave any comments, and we'll try to get to them and answer any questions.
Let me just say that betting on Duke to cover against Northwestern when I was in Arizona was so much fun. Like, it wasn't even a sweat. And it actually gave me a reason to watch Northwestern play football. And, Sean, you are correct when you said on week 0, Northwestern is ass.
Yes.
They actually make me feel good about Illinois, and Illinois is not good either.
Yeah. The fact that they actually beat UTEP and won 38-7 is a shock. I mean, they were home dogs, and they were underdogs by like a point and a half, and went by 38-7.
Duke was 17-point favorites. They won like 38-14. 14, yeah.
So fading Northwestern is a good strategy if you live outside of Illinois. If you are in the meth-filled Indiana, where Greg Braggs lives, you can bet on Illinois and Northwestern football. Sorry, that's a pre-show joke. Indiana's fine. It's just the armpit of America. Let's get into, I guess, the armpit of America. South Bend is there. Ohio State, number 6, taking on number 9, Notre Dame. Where are you guys looking here? I've been talking about this game for about 2 days now. An exciting matchup. We saw this game last year. I believe it was 21-10, but that was C.J. Stroud leading the Buckeyes. Does Notre Dame have an edge, and can they kind of prove that they're a real blue blood? Because really, whenever they go up against these bigger teams, they get their ass kicked.
Well, I think the difference now for Notre Dame, at least, is they have a quarterback. Sam Hartman was great at Wake Forest, and he's so far been pretty good at Notre Dame. I wouldn't say he's surprised me, but Notre Dame has put him in good position to play well, right? And I like Notre Dame at home. I know the public is heavy on Notre Dame because they're the home underdog, and Ohio State struggled against Indiana to put up points, but they've been putting up points the last couple weeks. But obviously Hartman has more experience than the guy Ohio State's throwing out there with C.J. Stroud now gone. I think we talked about on bets yesterday, Sean. I think the under is the safe play. But I believe I'm going to bet on the Irish, and I'm going to force myself to cheer for these these people.
Yeah, I'm going to plug my nose and bet with the Irish. Home dog is too delicious. I mean, I don't think Ryan Day has the magic anymore of developing quarterbacks, as we see that they don't really have offense that usually at this point is scoring 70 points versus the likes of teams they've played so far. So I'm going to be going with the Irish and plugging my nose. Marcus Freeman, I mean, brother, go ahead and do your thing, because if I'm cheering for you, you best win. You best win, because if I can't cheer to Notre Dame and you guys get an L. The last time I did that, I was at Notre Dame Stadium. They were playing Northwestern, left the stadium. They were leading. Brian Kelly does some dumbass stuff, leaves the stadium. Yeah. Northwestern comes back and wins in the fourth quarter. So get the job done, Marcus Freeman.
He's a lot more easier to root for, too.
Oh, my God.
I would love to see it. He put out a great defensive effort last year, and that was his first game against Ohio State. I don't know. I mean, like, Sam Hartman is the best quarterback that I think they've had in a long time. They don't have anyone elite like Ohio State does at the wide receiver position. They don't have an elite running back like Trayvon Henderson.
They're a tight end school.
They are a tight end school. Their running back's good to, very good. I don't know if he's great or elite. That's my biggest worry with the Irish and taking them. But I'll take the under. I mean, I think Kyle McCord might be decent. And they didn't hang 70 on Western Kentucky. They only hung 63, which, hey, it's close enough to 70. And Western Kentucky wasn't able to cover, which was great for me. But you can get 3.5 out there for Notre Dame at minus 117. I think that the under is the play. What I brought up was most, and this is from Tom Fornelli, most touchdowns outside the red zone. Notre Dame leads with 12 in the nation. Ohio State not too far behind with 10.
Okay.
I don't know if these teams, with both having great defenses, I think both defensive lines are better than their offensive lines. Like Notre Dame's defensive line is better than Ohio State's offensive line, and I think Ohio State's defensive line is better than Notre Dame's offensive line. So I think this is going to be a defensive matchup. I don't understand why it's at 56, the total. I got 56.5. I paid a little bit of juice, but then DraftKings Sportsbook has a boost, so I went down to minus 120. But then with the 50% boost, it's plus 120. So there you go. So I took the under 56.5 just because I don't think Kyle McCord and Sam Hartman will be able to be efficient enough when they get into the red zone. You're not going to be able to break off 60-plus, 70-plus yard plays against at least Ohio State's defense if you're Notre Dame. Ohio State might get one. They might have a Marvin Harrison Jr. Route get busted off for a 70-yard touchdown play or higher, but I really don't see a big back and forth between these teams. I see long, methodical drives to help Kyle McCord in his first true road game. I don't know if Notre Dame's the hardest place to play. This isn't the big house, but I do like under 56.5. I don't see any way that there's 8 touchdowns in this game. I see probably a 21-17 finish if Notre Dame's lucky, but then again, they usually get their ass kicked. So, I mean, this might just be a 24-10 roll. Ohio State has a nice day defensively, and they're able to be efficient on offense.
As we talked yesterday, the total opened at 63.5, and you got a great number, Sean, because it's now down to 55.5 on every book that you go on. So you got a 56.5. Mm-hmm. That could be the difference. So I still play it at 55. Maybe if it gets down to like 52, I would then consider the over. But I think that it will be defensive minded, and it's going to come down to just who can take advantage in the red zone more, because both those defenses are good. And right now, I just trust Sam Hartman more than who Ohio State's throwing out there. So that's why I think Notre Dame wins. And I think that with both defenses, it's going to be close. And I just trust Sam Hartman a little bit more.
Illinois is going up against Florida Atlantic. This one's in Memorial Stadium at Champaign. 2 straight losses for the Illini. Were they able to cover in week 2? Did they get a backdoor?
No.
Okay.
No.
2 straight weeks of not covering as well. I guess they didn't even cover week 3. So this is 3 straight weeks of Illinois not covering.
Yep.
1-2, going up against the 1-2 Florida Atlantic Owls. They have a win against Monmouth in week 1, 42-20, but losses to Ohio 17-10 and Clemson 48-14 for the Owls. Line is 15.5 for the Fighting Illini. You two Illini fans, where are you leaning? Herb, we'll start with you.
For basketball.
Waiting for basketball.
15.5 is a lot for the Illini. I mean,
Opened at 13.
yeah, their offense isn't that dynamic where they're going to do all that. That being said, last week we saw the emergence of Johnny Newton, and he took over that game. He was the best player on that field. Best player on that field last week was Johnny Newton. Not a Penn State player. Johnny Newton was constantly in the backfield. That's why that score wasn't, even though it looks lopsided, it should have been 50 to 14 because Penn State dominated the game for the most part, except for the times where Johnny Newton was causing disturbances in the backfield. So that could a couple turnovers for Florida Atlantic that way, where he has pressure. Miles Scott in the backside gets another pick six. That's how I can see the Illini covering the 16.5, but that's depending on randomness and luck. So if I was going with this, I would go with Florida Atlantic covering the 15.5, if not just outright winning, because this season has just been very, very disappointing for the Illini. And this is a game when you get a bounce back and get back to 2-2 before you go to more of a gauntlet in the Big Ten. But Brett Bielema and his squad has very underperformed this year, especially with the offense, and I'm not looking forward to this week's games. But also, if they find a way to put it on Florida Atlantic, I think the defense will also give up some runs or some points because they've given up points in each one of these games, a lot of them.
Yeah, I actually like the over. Even though the total has come down, it opened at like 49. It's down to 45 now. And the reason being is I just expect Luke Altmaier to be better. He was awful last week at Penn State. He was, threw like 3 or 4 interceptions, not one touchdown. And the reason, when I was in Arizona, I took the over in that game because I felt good about Illinois' offense. Despite the fact that they got creamed by Kansas and barely beat Toledo, they were still putting up points.
Yep.
And I felt like, I don't know why I felt like taking the over in a complete Big Ten game, but that's what I did. And honestly, my thinking was correct because Penn State put up points, but Illinois didn't. Their offense didn't show up like it did the 2 weeks before. Maybe I should have given Penn State a little bit more respect for their defense. And
all the short fields that Penn State had.
The thing is Illinois created a bunch of turnovers. They just did not capitalize on any of them.
Nope.
And I expect them to do that more this week because they're playing Florida Atlantic, not Penn State. They need a win. I'm not, again, Illinois football, 6, 7, 8 win seasons. I celebrate those, folks.
Hell yeah.
All right, we're 1-2. They got to get back to 2-2. Or back to 500, whatever you want to call it. I think they come out. I don't know if they cover that spread, but I think they win this week. And I think the offense will be better because it can't be any worse than what it was against Penn State. They got to run the ball, use Reggie Love. I thought he had some nice runs in that game. Just do they need to get back to doing what they did last year, where they just ran the ball. I know Chase Brown's not here, but Reggie Love ain't bad either. They need to run the ball, play good, and play the defense that they played against Penn State. It was the first time their defense really showed up all year. Yep. Their defense isn't really the reason they lost the game.
Nope.
They lost the game because Luke Altmaier threw 4 picks and he gets benched in the fourth quarter, and you're not taking advantage of all the opportunities you had when you created turnovers. That's how you lose ball games. So, to me, I think they're going to create some turnovers like they did last week, and I think the offense will play better because it can't possibly be worse than last week.
And Illinois is, and I want them to correct this in the years going forward, because the Big Ten is going to be even more of a gauntlet going forward with Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA coming next year. They're one of the only teams that play all FBS teams in their non-conference. And so they need to downshift a little bit more. That Toledo game, way too tough. Yeah. Florida Atlantic, while lower, not that good. Play a Colgate. Play another team. Play your Sisters of the Poor. Play one of those teams and grab a dub. It's a free dub. Don't be trying to challenge Kansas. We don't need that. We don't need that. We're not there yet. When we get there, then we can play the real teams.
Kansas,
real teams.
I mean, Kansas has been a real team for a year.
Yeah,
just a year.
I mean, so when they scheduled it, that was like probably 10 years ago when Kansas sucked.
Yeah.
So to be fair, I think they were trying to take a layup just from a Power 5 school. That shit turned around real quick.
They should schedule DePaul. I know they on the football team. Schedule them. Put them on the schedule.
Them and the Maroons.
Yeah.
All right, let's. I was listening to the Cover 3 podcast. Tom Fornelli brought up that I think Florida Atlantic is going to a different quarterback, or their original quarterback's hurt, and he's more of a pocket passer, which I think plays into Illinois' game. He was laying the points at 15. I don't know, about 15.5. I'm staying away, mainly because I'm not legally allowed to bet it. So no Illinois play for me. All right, let's get to our best bets for the weekend. I know you have a big 10 bet best bet, Cody, and it involves the Wisconsin Badgers. You're taking us to Friday.
I have 3 plays.
Stinking Badgers.
But my Big Ten lock of the weekend is Wisconsin minus 5.5. All right, it opened at 7. It's down to 5.5. Again, they're at Purdue. The Badgers going to West Lafayette, Purdue, as we like to call it.
Perfect.
Wisconsin's beat Purdue 16 straight times, folks. 16. Last time Purdue beat Wisconsin, Drew Brees was the backup quarterback at Purdue. All right.
Who's the start?
I'm not sure. I didn't look into that. I just found it very hilarious that it's been that long. Quarterback for Purdue last week, Hudson Card, formerly of Texas. Shout out Joey, our producer. 3 fumbles against Syracuse last week. So I don't know. I feel like he's been solid for Purdue. They've been able to put up points, but I felt like they should have had a better game against Syracuse than they did, and they just did. They lost by 15. I feel better about Wisconsin, even though they did struggle for half the game against Georgia Southern. But they not only did they come back, but they came back and then covered and gave me a bad beat that I will have nightmares about for years to come. But I do like Tanner Mordecai more than I do Hudson Card. And he's mobile. The quarterback for Syracuse last week scored 4 rushing touchdowns. So I think that Mordecai could perhaps create some problems for Purdue. So 5.5 on the road. I know it's tough, but I just think Wisconsin's a better team than Purdue right now. I think we haven't really seen Wisconsin, hit midseason form yet, but I think they're going to be a better team starting tomorrow and moving forward.
For my lock of the week, I'm going to go to teams that are on the opposite scale of the ATS, on the against the spread scale. Rutgers has covered all 3 of its games this year. Michigan has not.
You're right.
And Mr. Jim Harbaugh is coming back to the sideline, so J.J. McCarthy can finally feel good. Oh, my coach was gone the first 3 games. Blake Corum can go off. They're playing in Ann Arbor. They are used to Greg Schiano's defense when he was there at Ohio State and before when he was at Rutgers. I think it's going to be a whomping. I think they're going to show out and try to put some style points onto the RU Rutgers University Scarlet Knights, and I think I'm going with Michigan right there, minus the 24.
All right, I thought you were going to go to the Iowa Penn State game.
I'm already bored. We just read that right there.
I was going to play the under for Iowa's team total, but now most books have it at 12.5. It was originally 13.5. 13's more of a football number. I would play under 13.5 this weekend if you could find it, but
Juice
right
it
now
up
you
there.
can't find it.
No? Okay.
Huh?
You can't juice it up?
You could probably juice it up somewhere, but I didn't look into the alt markets for Iowa's team total.
Hey.
That's, I think, would make me a real degenerate.
Your quarterback threw a couple more touchdowashouts last week.
I don't.
They scored 41. Yeah, scored 41 versus Western Michigan. The always tough Bronco.
You know who scored a lot of points last week? Washington, when they played Michigan State. A line I don't understand. I get the whole Mel Tucker thing.
Yep.
Ugly, bad scenario, bad week for a very, 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 very good and a very old and talented and experienced quarterback to come into your stadium.
And whoop ass again.
Maryland ain't that good. Maryland opened as a 4-point favorite, and now they're getting a touchdown and a half?
Yep.
I am taking this basically on the number alone. Michigan State isn't that bad. Projected numbers from Parker Fleming at StatsOWar on Twitter has this being a 28.5 to 23.5 point game, so that's probably a 5-point difference right there. I'm getting 2.5 points. Maryland ain't that good. They almost choked against Charlotte. They almost choked against Virginia. And really the only bad week that Michigan State had was that Washington week, which Michael Penix also had experience against this, being a former Indiana quarterback.
Fourth time he played him.
Exactly. So I'm going to take Michigan State getting a touchdown and a half at home against Maryland. Maryland ain't that good. So I'll take that number. That's my best bet outside of the under
on that game just because the under has hit in 7 of the last 8 games between those two schools. And their Noah Kim last week threw for 136 yards passing against a Washington team that I think isn't that great defensively. I didn't understand how. I mean, I knew that Washington was a big favorite, like 2 touchdowns, but I don't know what's going on. And I do think I like your thinking, Sean, but I do think that Mel Tucker not being there is going to affect their offense in some aspect, or just their team in some aspects. I think the safer play is the under, just because I just don't know if Michigan State's going to put up any points or enough points. Yeah, and I know Maryland's they have struggled in the start games, but then they've finished strong. You know what they were down 14-0 to Virginia, and then scored 42 straight points. So I guess that kind of scares me in terms of the total, just because that something like that could happen. But I do think because these schools play each other every year, I think that it'll be a little bit more defensive minded. But yeah, I think Michigan State could hang around, just because that's a lot of points for a Maryland team that, to me, they do this every year. They always start out 3 or 4-0 because they play such a soft non-conference schedule, and then they start playing their conference, and you see what the difference is. So
we got some more best bets. We'll see. I like the under, and hey, you're not fading me, which I appreciate.
I just think that 52.5 is a lot of points for a Big Ten game.
And usually if the game goes under, you're not covering spreads. So I like it. I like the thinking, Cody. We're going to take a quick break. We got some more best bets after the break, and then we'll wrap this show up. Want to let you know, though, about Factor Meal Kits. It's America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. It can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. I like it because it skips the trip to the grocery store, and it skips chopping, prepping, and cleaning up. I hate doing the dishes. I hate running water for that long. I have a dishwasher, but still, the less, the better. And do you know what's really hard? Chopping onions, chopping shallots. Shallots are small. Shallots are slippery.
Make you cry.
I will cut my finger. I don't want to do that.
Don't do that.
Factor does it for me, all right? And they're never fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes. So all you have to do is heat and enjoy, and then go back to enjoying the fall weather, watching Thursday night football, whatever you want to do. And you have a ton of options to choose from, and you can also level up with the Gourmet Plus option. It's prepared to perfection by chefs and ready to eat in record time. And you can treat yourself to upscale meals with premium ingredients like broccolini, leeks, truffle butter, and asparagus. So check out our friends at Factor. Head to factormeals.com/CHGO Bets 50. That's CHGO Bets, BETS 50, and insert code CHGO Bets 50 to get 50% off. That's code CHGO Bets 50 at factormeals.com/CHGO Bets 50 to get 50% off. Thank you to our friends over at Factor Meal Kit, and shout out to DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code CHGO when you sign up as a new customer. They got a 50% boost on Ohio State Notre Dame. They got some no sweats for Thursday night football. Cody, I don't know what else your best bets are today. I don't know where your final best bets are, Herb, whether they be NFL or college, but feel free to toss them out.
Well, as I said yesterday, I'm taking the under in tonight's NFL game, 44, I believe. And then the one college football game tonight, I'm taking the over in Georgia State and Coastal Carolina in the Fun Belt, baby. We got Grayson McCall versus Darren Granger.
Yeah.
And I can't believe I remember those names. It's just,
Georgia State.
These are college athletes. I'm really bad with names. The last 2 games have gone over, basically the same teams. And when I say that, the quarterbacks are basically the same. They both score off a lot of explosive plays.
Play fast. A lot of plays in general.
Exactly. They play fast as well. So Give me the over there. I did come up with a little parlay because I had a bonus bet. Darren Granger over 38.5 rushing yards. Sam Pinkney over 83.5 receiving yards. Revenge game. He's on Coastal Carolina now. Was on Georgia State last year, I believe. I have Pinkney to score a touchdown, and then Marcus Carroll, who's 4th in FBS and rushing yards, to score a touchdown. So that comes out to plus 475. I used a bonus $10 bet to win like $50. So
I'm going to go with the Oregon-Colorado game, but I'm not going to go with the number. That's minus 21. I don't know. I don't know if Oregon can hold off Colorado from scoring that many points. One thing I do know is Oregon's going to score a bunch of points. They've played each other 9 times since Colorado has come to the Pac-12. They have scored 45 or more points 5 times in those matchups. The fewest amount of points they've scored versus Colorado is 38. So I'm going to go with a double. Both over 45 points for the team total for Oregon, because Colorado's defense is decimated before Travis Hunter left the game, and he was the best cornerback and best wide receiver. Some say Jimmy Horn Jr., whatever. And I believe that it's going to be a track meet. So I believe the over 70, if you can get it over 70 and a half, whatever you need, it's going to happen. It's going to definitely happen. And because I know Colorado is going to score on the Oregon defense, but Bo Nix is ready to be an NFL top first round pick. And this is a showcase game. He knows all eyes will be on him. And to demolish the Colorado Buffaloes at home in Eugene will be a good thing for his resume.
They have billboards of Bo Nix going up. Nike's paying a ton of money to push him for Heisman, basically with the Bo stuff, going to Bo Jackson, which is hilarious. But it's good to see that you're an avid watcher of CHGO Bets Daily, because this has been one of my top bets for the past 2 days. I love it, Herb. I've said that they're going to hang 50 on Colorado. Yeah. I think it's a great story, Colorado. I think Deion Sanders is a ton of fun. I'm glad he's in college football. I'm glad he's at the D1 level. They're going to get their asses kicked in Eugene this Saturday. Over 45.5 at minus 104 is a bet I had on Tuesday. They allow the most sack yards, Colorado does the most sack yards. That's not good.
No.
They're just going to give Oregon a ton of defensive positioning. And your best player on both offense and defense is out. So that's not good, because this is a team that was built on transfers. He's one of those transfers. Just the roster's getting thinner. I think Deion's a great story. They were lucky to win against Colorado State last week. They ain't winning, and they're going to get 50 hung on them. Again, under 56.5 in Ohio State Notre Dame. I got that at plus 120 with a boost from DraftKings Sportsbook. Under 56.5 for Ole Miss Alabama at minus 120. Who's playing quarterback for either of those teams? Jackson Dart looked awful last time he played Alabama. That's 2 defensive schools that are going to struggle to score points. That's going to be like a 10-3 game. And then Western Kentucky getting 3.5 against Troy at minus 105. Stats War Parker Fleming has this projected to be a 26-26 game, saying that this is a 50% chance that Western Kentucky wins. The reason why that they're at plus 150 on the money line and getting 3.5 points, I don't know. So I'll just take it, shut up, and try to win the free money that I think is there. That's going to do it for CHGO Big Ten After Dark. Any final bets?
Daniel Jones over 7.5 rushing attempts.
I got under 16.5 for their team total. So I'm going with you on the under.
And our friend Steven, the producer, our producer, he likes Elijah Mitchell over on the rushing yards.
I think it's 27.5.
27.5. It's at 32.5 now.
Oh,
so,
Jesus.
Yeah.
Steven's a sharp bet.
But I still kind of like it. So, yeah.
Steven bet his bankroll on that.
And if you do any parlays, just put Christian McCaffrey to score. He's scored in 11 straight games.
He's scored how many games? How many games has he played in with
San Francisco?
Yeah,
like 11 straight games.
I think he scored. I think he's played in 15 games with the Niners. Do you know how many touchdowns he scored in those 15 games?
No,
15. He scored a touchdown a game. So yeah, that's a pretty good bet, especially if it's as a parlay piece. That's Cody Delmendo. You can follow him at Cody_CHGO. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. And I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. Thank you to Joey Spathis for producing the show. Goodbye.